Hello, graded students. How are you all doing? Okay. I know we are done with our lesson number two, reproduction and plants, right? That was quite a big lesson, but it is an important lesson because we come to know various other methods by which the plants are grown apart from the seeds, right? And latest ones are also added in it where grafting is used. Tissue culture is one of the very famous and relevant procedures used by the farmers because it gives a very high quality yield in a small amount of place and with small amount of whatever resources you have. Okay. Plants are an important part of the ecosystem, so plants kind of depend on us for the nurture, some of them, and we depend on plants for so many things, right? Exchange of gases happen, we are all interdependent, right? So it's just not plants and human beings in a particular area, there are many other things that we can observe nearby us. Okay, so that is what we are going to study today. It's all going to be about ecosystem. Eco is all ecology or say environment. Okay, and it is a self-sustaining unit. That means it is able to survive on its own. Why is that so? Because there are some interactions, there are some interdependence happening over there that is enabling the small area or small unit to survive. Okay, we'll see what are we going to study in this lesson. We are going to try and understand the concept of the word ecosystem itself. We are going to study and understand the biotic and abiotic components of an ecosystem. We are going to study the terms food chain and food web. We are going to see what is this pyramid of numbers. We are then going to see how are the organisms interdependent on each other. Okay, then we are going to study all this. See, as we said that there are biotic and abiotic factors, right? So we are going to take up with one ecosystem. There are many ecosystems, like there is forest, there is desert, there is pond, any kind. There are so many types of ecosystems around us. We are going to pick up one ecosystem, that is forest, and we are going to see which are the biotic and abiotic factors coming under that. Okay, so this is the entire lessons objectives, you can say. For today, few things we are going to learn. Okay, we'll see what are they. We are going to see what is the meaning of the term ecosystem. Every location has both living and non-living things. You're sitting in a room and studying, there might be, I think, less number of living things and more number of non-living things, if you don't count the microorganisms, right? Yeah, because maybe there will be few human beings in a particular room or something, and there are more of the non-living things like lights, fans, bed, chair, table, right? If I am not wrong. Okay, that is just an example. So an ecosystem is going to, so that forms an ecosystem of the room, understand, no? Similarly, so there are both living and non-living things in a particular area. This both components make a small self-sustaining unit. Now what is the relation between that table, fan, light and you need them, right? Yeah, you need them to you for your various purposes, and they are able to be there because you're using them, right? So we are all interacting with each other in certain way, and that makes up a small ecosystem. That is okay. We can just take an example of a garden, right? We have so many plants there, insects there, uh, they give us oxygen, we take care of them. That is how the relationship is going on, and this is how the ecosystem is formed there, the garden ecosystem. So what is the definition? A self-sustaining unit that consists of living organism in a particular area. This living organism is interacting another with one another and with also their non-living natural environment. Yeah, there are living organisms interacting with each other, but also with other non-living environmental factors that will make up a ecosystem. Please learn this definition properly. So first, let us see the biotic component of an ecosystem. The word bios we have already seen, it means life. Okay, biology, if we say, it means study of life. Here we are going to see furthermore, all the living organisms present in an ecosystem are called biotic components. So examples of plants, animals, scavengers, decomposers of an ecosystem are biotic components. They are all the living components, you can say, in short. Okay, let us go ahead now. Abiotic components. All the non-living physical components interact with each other for life, and these are the abiotic factors. Okay, what will come under non-living? Yeah, air, water, rocks, soil, as well as climatic factors such as sunlight, humidity, temperature are abiotic components. Okay. See, when I give the example of the room in which you are sitting, at least that is all just going on between what is the room ecosystem. Right now here there is we are talking about the entire ecosystem as such, the environment around us. Okay, so there are a lot many factors like air is there, water is there, rocks are there, soil is there, climatic factors are there. These are going to have some effect on us, that is the living beings, that will include animals as well, plants as well, so they are very important. Biotic components. Let us start with the biotic components. What come under that? It will be producers, there will be consumers, then under consumers there are primary, secondary and tertiary. There are 3 levels. At the last are the decomposers, and a new term has been added this year. It wasn't there before, detrivores. So we are going to see what is its meaning. Producers, obviously going by the name, something that produces, right? So who produces? It is only the plant who is able to produce its own food. No other wonder, no other magic, no other technology has helped to produce its own food. Okay, what so organisms that produce their own food are called producers, and they are also called as the autotrophs, because there is an automatic process that is happening, okay, in the trophical, that means in the plants. So all the green plants are producers. Please mind the word green. If the plant is not having any chlorophyll, it will not be able to prepare its own food. So example, do not write only all plants, it will be wrong. You will have to write all green plants. Now by photosynthesis, plants convert the solar energy into chemical energy, obviously. That is the glucose which is used by other living organisms for food. Okay, when the other organism is going to consume the plant, the energy is going to get transferred. For example, grass has been eaten by zebra. Now whatever the energy was stored in the grass is been transferred to zebra now. Consumers. These are the heterotrophs, as they depend on others for food, starting with herbivores directly or indirectly. Now there are many other layers for that. Okay, but it starts with herbivores. Fine. So heterotrophs is what are the organisms that depend on others for food. Autotrophs means what, they are able to prepare their own food. So these consumers are being further divided into primary, secondary and tertiary levels. Let us see what are primary consumers. They depend directly on the plants for food and energy. So only herbivores are primary consumers, obviously, right? So there's zebras, and then donkeys, camels, everything is going to come under herbivores. The chemical energy that is stored in plants will directly be transferred to the herbivores when the herbivores will consume the food that is stored in the plants, or they will consume the plants themselves, and the energy that is stored in the plants will now enter into the herbivores. Cow, deer, goats, grasshoppers, butterflies, everything come under this. Secondary consumers, example, tiger eats deer, deer in turn eats grass, so tiger is a secondary consumer. Here the deer is going to be the primary consumer. Now the secondary consumer is the tiger, because now tiger is in the scene. Okay, so first level is consumer, then the primary consumer, then the secondary consumer. The animals that indirectly depend on plants. So here animals are also depending on plants only. It's just that they are not eating plants directly, they are eating the flesh of the animal that is consuming the plants, right? So they eat flesh of secondary consumers. They eat flesh of the primary consumers, you can say. Here it is written secondary, but please rectify it, it has to be primary consumers. Okay, so the chemical energy from plants will now get transferred to plants, then deer, then to the tiger. So this is how the chemical energy is going to flow. The plant has prepared its own food using the solar energy, right? Now the chemical energy is stored in the plants. When the herbivore is going to eat the plant, it will get transferred to herbivore. Now when the secondary consumer, that is tiger, is going to eat the herbivore, it will get transferred to the tiger. So the energy flow is starting with plants to herbivores to consumers. or you can say secondary consumers. Tertiary consumers, okay. Example, a hawk. A tertiary consumer will eat the frog, a secondary consumer eats the grasshopper, and a primary consumer that eats the plant. Okay, now this is at the third level. One more factor has been included here. Example, best example is a hawk, right? Because a hawk is going to prey upon the frog. The frog which has eaten the grasshopper, grasshopper which has eaten the plants. Understood? This is how the chain is formed. So your chemical energy will pass from plants to grasshopper, from grasshopper to frog, and from frog to the hawk. So the level has reached till third level, that is called as tertiary consumers. Beautiful that was. Beautiful bird it is, right? Hawk. Okay. Let us see what is the next component now. Omnivores and scavengers. We have seen water producers, we have seen the consumers. In consumers, we have seen primary, secondary, and tertiary. Now we have come to the next component, omnivores and scavengers. Consumers that feed on both plants and animals are called omnivores. Examples are bear, crows, and human beings. Right? There are some people those who eat both flesh and the food that we get from the plants, that is vegetarians, while some only feed on the vegetables. Okay, scavengers. These are the carnivorous animals that feed on remains of dead animals. Vultures and hyenas are the example, or you can say the best example of scavengers, and that is why scavengers are called as the natural cleaners of the earth, because they eat up the dead remains of the animals and they kind of remove this kind of a dirt thing, the decaying thing from the earth. That is why they are very, very important. Vultures and hyenas are very important part of the ecosystem, okay, because they eat up the dead flesh. Okay. Decomposers. Finally, when even the animal is died and decayed and no more to be eaten by the hyenas also, then what happens? Finally, they are being consumed or eaten by bacteria. These are all the small microorganisms such as bacteria and fungi that break down the dead and decaying organic matter, and these are called as decomposers. They will decompose the matter. They will convert the small particles of the flesh into small particles and get mixed up with the soil. We will see what is written. So they secrete enzymes that digest the complex organic matter of dead plants and animals and convert them into simpler nutrients such as nitrogen and carbon. Now, aren't they kind of magicians? They are so much of an angel type, because they are helping to get this dead and decaying thing get converted into fertilizer kind of thing that is so much useful for the growth of plants. That is why this decomposition process is very important, and it is brought about these decomposers, bacteria and fungi. They secrete certain enzymes, okay, and because of these enzymes the food has been able to be broken down into smaller and smaller particles, okay, mainly into nitrogen and carbon. The products of digestion are absorbed by the bacteria and fungi, while the nutrients are recycled into the environment. Whatever has been absorbed, the products of the digestion are been absorbed by the bacteria and fungi for their own utilization, for their own growth, while the nutrients which are not been taken up will be put into the soil, and that is useful to the soil, okay, for the growth of the plants. Decomposers help keep the environment clean. Here decomposers are also helping the environment clean, just as I said for the scavengers. They actually are not just keeping the environment clean, they are helping the soil getting fertilized, natural fertilizer, enriching with the nutrients of the dead remains of plants and animals. Detrivores. What are detrivores? These are small animals living in the soil or in aquatic bodies which contribute to the nutrient cycles by breaking down dead and decaying material. They feed on small fragments of decomposing or dead materials called detritus. Okay. Now examples are earthworms, mites and slugs. So these are kind of semi sort of decomposers only, but they are small, okay. They are small, you can say a bigger version of the organisms, not as microorganisms but a bigger version of organisms, just like earthworms, mites and slugs. They will help the breaking down of the decomposing material into much smaller particles, and finally the decomposers will act upon it. Okay, so detrivores are the small organisms living in the soil or aquatic bodies which are contributing towards the decomposition. Decomposers are only the bacteria and fungi. Here it is, we are talking about certain organisms that are present in the soil or aquatic bodies. They are little larger, they are not microorganisms, they are just like small organisms. Okay, yeah, that was all for the day. Now there's an exercise given. If it had been an online session, I would have asked you, on the live show, what are the answers. But since this is an offline lesson, I want you to solve it by your own. And please cross check the answers from the notes that I'm going to put it in the group. Okay, but don't just copy paste the answers, that is will have no meaning. You'll have to solve it by yourself first and then cross check the answers, children. Okay, so that's all for the day. Actually, let us now we are going to study the further part of the lesson that is going to include the next level. Okay, this is a very what do you say, easy lesson, children ecosystem, but it is equally important. Now we can just make out from the present situation, from the present scenario, we can make out that this small microorganism, that is the COVID, is playing a havoc, and because of which we are sitting here in the rooms, in our homes, and not in the school. So we are supposed to be a little alert towards our ecology, and see that it runs smoothly. Okay, so please do have plants around your house, wherever you can grow them, nurture them, because we all depend on them for many things. Okay, so I just hope that we all understood what the lesson was about. So next time again we are going to meet, and we will see a small, I think, video next time we will see. Okay, videos will make the learning more fun and interesting. So do not forget to go through the learning objectives, and yeah, my suggestion is that please keep reading the lesson and learn the definitions, learn the terminologies. There are a few concepts like pyramid of numbers that is going to come as a new thing. These other things I think you have already learned it in previous standards, but this pyramid of numbers is something that is new, and also forest ecosystem that we are going to study in detail. Okay, so an interesting topic coming up ahead. Please complete your assignment and attempt the Google test, and please start solving the objectives at least from the textbook till the part we have learned today. At least that much you can do. Okay, and then later whenever you get time, you can read the short answers and the long answers in the notebook. Fine. So this lesson is not as that complicated as the previous one with so many examples and all that. You are going to enjoy learning this lesson. Have a great time ahead, children. Have a nice day. Bye.